Attention, all Earth dwellers on planet Earth. This is your Reptoid Watch Report for Thursday, August 23rd, 2018. Just shortly around 4:43 in the afternoon here on the West Coast. Hope you're all well. Positive Paul here. Want to get into the uncomfortable topic of the organized harassment / illegal surveillance stalking campaigns done here in the United States of America against its own citizens. It's been something that's been around for a very long time and takes many shapes, many forms. Of course, the most recent that we know are obviously the Gestapo in Nazi Germany, the Stasi, which was the secret police for Russia and East Germany after the war when the wall went up. And then you had the Red Squads in Russia, of course. But now, since after 9/11, this whole thing has ramped up to Mach speed. We have an unveiling of a massive multinational, multi-continental, totally satanically empowered demonic system of, first, foremost, wiping out the Abrahamic bloodlines that you read about in the Bible. Now, this is all at the behest of Satan. Everything runs through him and filters down to his legions of reptoids, which have basically, across the globe, infiltrated their way in to all our institutions on the highest echelons, so that way they can gain control. We're talking about lawyers, judges, doctors, dentists, politicians, you name it, the list goes on. And that's the control mechanism. But the real thing behind all this, if you're a targeted individual anywhere around the globe in the United States, they want to tell you that there's four main reasons that you're targeted. And one would be that you are a criminal, you've been convicted of a crime. Two, you're being investigated for a crime, and they call that non-judicial punishment. Three, you're a whistleblower or a dissident. And four, a high-value target. Somebody that has, been in the system and seen firsthand of what's going on, and they have knowledge of what the reality is. So the first level of targets are anybody that was put into those mind control programs known as MK Ultra, the Montauk Project, the Monarch Program. There's all kinds of different names. This all was born after World War II when we scraped up all the Nazi scientists we could, the ones that the Russians couldn't capture, brought them back to the United States under Operation Paperclip. That's a whole different topic, but its roots go back all the way to Tavistock Institute in London, where a lot of this took place. It involves psychology, neuroscience, and satanic ritual abuse. Now, the psychology and neuroscience part has really made leaps and bounds since MK Ultra's infancy at around 1953. But the one thing that's remained the same is the satanic ritual abuse that the Illuminati put all their children through and have destroyed millions of our kids throughout the past decades because of this nonsense. Now, you will be a target for life. It is from the cradle to the grave. And they have to keep tabs on these people because the ones that manage to survive could be coming back and be a witness against their crimes against humanity. And they cannot have that, because if it became public knowledge of what really went on during the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and even today, almost all human beings would be aghast because they have a conscience. They have compassion. They have empathy. Satan's seed does not have that. They don't have a soul, And his whole shtick is based on nothing but lies upon lies, deception. Of course, he has to make this reality that we think exists real, or else you wouldn't go along with it. And he's no dummy. He's worked at this for thousands of years. People say, well, why would God let this happen? Well, here's the reason. Like it or not, he chose the Israelites as his chosen people, because once mankind had fallen, he let Satan pretty much run the show. And this is documented in a history book called the Bible. And you could go from start to finish and see all the groups of the people that are involved. Right from the Assyrians, the Babylonians, the Romans, go back all the way further when the Nephilim came down and spawned their demonic reptilian seed, the Moabites, the Amorites, the Hittites, the Hivites, the Jebusites, the Amorites. You have Lot's two sons that were Moab and Ammon that his daughters had basically gave birth to. And those all are abominations. Yet these are all tools for Satan because they all have a one hive mind. A human being thinks for himself. A human being is a unique individual that has many, many facets to him. And the main overarching facet of being a human being is having compassion towards one another. So with the reptoids, they don't give a shit. They're operating off the lower frequencies, their base instincts, which are on the lower end of your chakra, just power, money, survival. Okay? They cannot get above that. And the people that are of God, left to their own devices, will see through these people because they're at a higher frequency. And if you are a target and you're in those mind control programs, there is a good possibility that you have an Abrahamic bloodline within you, whether you realize it or not. It doesn't matter whether you're American, Mexican, European, Chinese. Once the Israelites had finally pissed off God and he put his judgments on them, and first the Babylonians were in there, the Assyrians came in, and then the Babylonians again, but they were all dispersed across the globe. So they reach out far and wide. As God said, he will bless Abraham with a seed that will be as many as the stars in the sky, as the sands of the earth. So you have to understand that, and that's a whole different topic. But when you fast forward into modern day persecution of criminals and people that are, say, whistleblowers, dissidents, people that were in these mind control programs, people that are high-value targets that have information, have been on the inside, and they're not happy with that. But yet, some of them are sellouts, and they do sell out because they don't want to be harassed. They want the fame, the fortune. They want to be left alone to follow their own desires. And you know what? That's fine. But there is a price to be paid for that. So what happens is, in this modern day gang stalking program, the reptoids are all in the upper echelons of our society, especially the intelligence agencies. They'll send hybrids out that are probably, they represent themselves as part of the FBI, Homeland Security, whatnot. They go around into your community and they will start to have their legion of little demon sellouts, human sellouts, that don't realize it, that once they're done with these people they're harassing, that they're going to be next on the list. And we'll see how long they hold up when Satan turns on him because he don't give a shit. You may think that you're, being going to be protected. You're not. Trust me. So they have to figure out who your friends are, who your family is, where you go, all the things that you do, and they gather that information, which takes time. Then they'll start to move their people in around you to pull all their little tricks that they do, such as street theater, which is just, acting like jerks, mobbing you in a grocery store. If you're trying to go to the store, they mob you. They'll drive around in their vehicles with their stupid little white, red, black cars with their headlights out or brake lights out, and just general harassment to, try to drive the target crazy, basically. Drive them to suicide if they can. Now, if you were in those mind control programs in MK Ultra, you would have had suicide programming as part of that. And when that doesn't work, then they've got a problem on their hand, because now you have witnesses walking around. And these people, guaranteed you, they are going to fight back. And I'm one of them. So with me, like I said, what they do is they go in, they slander you, they'll try to set you up, they'll create fake files and tell your friends, family that you're being investigated for a crime, and they need your help to keep tabs on that person, and they want you to basically be a snitch, a rat, a Benedict Arnold. And this is just, it's out of hand right now. It's gone mainstream. Where it was in the shadows back in the day, in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, now it's completely mainstream after 9/11. Hard to believe, but don't take my word for it. It's all going to come to a head here real soon. So what they basically do, they get, they break down your support system, which is your family and friends. And you find out real quick who is going to buckle under the pressure and who is going to be a sellout just to avoid not being harassed themselves. And this goes on forever. There'll be times when you might get a couple days rest, a break in the action for maybe a week, but that's only because they're regrouping. Especially once you figure out that you're a target, because in the beginning, like I said, they need to figure out who you hang out with, all the places you go. In my case, I would go to this coffee cart out in Ocean Beach, and I picked up on it real quick, because by the late 90s, one of their setups was trying to get me on workman's comp after I had an on-the-job injury. And I took them to the EEOC, embarrassed them, and they just basically ran me out of my job that I had. And they just started the harassment campaign, which was subtle at first, but then it ramped up because as a property owner, that made it difficult, because they need to get you on the street to try to get you locked up and get you out of the system to shut you up. So, I've been at this for over 20 years now, and as you see, they've gone 100% full-born, Nazi style. Planes flying over all day, being stalked by sometimes up to 100 people, people that are street-level perps. You have all the handlers. All this costs money, and they're spending a huge amount of money. But the thing of it is, for what? If I truly, intentionally committed a crime, then why am I not being arrested? Why am I not in prison? How come I haven't been able to face my accusers that are running around slandering me like the filth that they are? So who does that? Who runs a investigation, a sting operation at the FBI or wherever, spends tens of thousands of dollars a day sometimes, only never to make an arrest? Only a reptoid would do that, because they have no brains. They're all being guided by Satan, and I hate to say this, but their time is going to be up soon. So listen up, there, reptoids. Pay attention. You are next on the menu. Once we are gone, you are not going to get out of this. So good luck.